Just over 6 months since the Camp Fire burned through more than 150,000 acres and close to 19,000 structures and killed 85 people. And the community faces many obstacles and issues as we move forward.
Now people who live in the area wonder what they're going to do without that resource to keep them going, as well as its impact on their environment as well. Action News Now reporter Amy Lansky explores the loss of the Miocene Canal.
For the past 100 years, the Miocene Canal has been running along the west branch of the Feather River all the way down to Orville, about a 25-mile stretch. But during the Camp Fire, this 9-mile area known as the Upper Miocene was burned all the way to Kunkel Reservoir. This has caused issues and concerns for farmers and ranchers, as well as the ecosystem, now that the middle and lower parts of the Miocene aren't getting water.
The citrus trees will die if we don't irrigate them this year.
Kurt Albrecht's wife is the third generation to live on their farm. He's lived here since 1987.
We have mostly tree crops. We grow olives, peaches, apricots, and some citrus. But we also have livestock. We have commercial cows and then a lot of animal projects.
Albrecht says 80% of his water comes from the Miocene Canal system, and he pays PG&E for that water. Since the Camp Fire, he says it's been a challenge.
We have trees that normally we would have started the water on by this point in time that we haven't irrigated yet. We have trees that we're not going to irrigate this summer, mostly olives, because they won't necessarily crop well without water, but they'll survive. But we also have crops like the citrus. The citrus trees will die if we don't irrigate them this year, and so we're gonna allocate the water that we do have available to our citrus trees and a few of stone fruit trees in order to allow those trees to survive another year.
Albrecht is not alone in wondering how to keep his property irrigated.
We raise olives and Black Angus cattle, and the dewatering of the canal is going to create a lot of issues, and already has, for agriculture in our area.
Gail Tozier and her husband have lived along the canal for 16 years. With 275 acres, about 50 head of cattle, 12 to 15 tons of olives, and no water from the canal, they've had to haul in some 300 gallons of water a day to their cattle.
In addition to that, we usually water our olives during this period of time. From the 1st of May till the end of September, we have no water. We have a bumper crop, but we don't know what that's going to be as far as not having, having to dry farm. It could really affect the olive crop in the area.
Danny Cuneo has lived on her property for 19 years. She grows olives too, as well as boarding horses.
The non-potable water is diverted through a diversion into our pond, which is the holding tank for the water that is then taken down to the 100-acre orchard. It is also the entire water system for our horse operation.
Despite the need for water, PG&E says it's not rebuilding the upper portion of the canal, claiming it's not cost-effective.
We've long advised water users to have alternative sources of water available to them, because there have been times in the past when the canal has been out of service for extended periods due to rock slides and wildfires.
But in addition to property owners, the Miocene is also important to wildlife.
In the Miocene Canal system, there are endangered species. There are at least 3 identified protected, threatened, and endangered species that are in jeopardy of what they call take. Take is the destruction of an endangered species.
PG&E says the most recent sightings of 2 of those species in the middle and lower part of the canal were in the 1950s and have since been destroyed. Environmentalists from California Department of Wildlife say time is of the essence when it comes to restoring water flow in the Miocene Canal if we want to make sure the threatened species survive. With the 2019 fire season at hand, there are also new fears of no water.
The Miocene Canal actually produced resources for the Cal Fire to fight the fires behind our homes. They dipped from the ponds with both helicopters and trucks and fought the fires and successfully saved our homes.
We have ponds and streams that have developed over the last 100 years. There's wildlife, there's habitat that has developed. Those areas have been well hydrated because of the canal. All of that is over. The canal is dry. The endangered species has been all but destroyed. The seepage and leakage is ceasing. The creeks are drying up. The ponds are beginning to dry up. CAL FIRE relies on these ponds for fire suppression. All that's out the window right now.
Well, that whole corridor is green pretty much throughout the year because of the system and the leakage from the system. So you're going to lose that habitat. You're going to lose fire suppression, the species that are going to be affected by that, and things we can't kind of envision when you start disrupting a system that's been in place for 150 years. Granted, it was human created, but even the wetland portion down at the exchange of Highway 70, 149 will dewater also.
PG&E says it's willing to listen to solutions that could get some water into the middle and lower portions of the canal. Senator Nielsen is now weighing in as well, saying it is important to find that solution. To see the full response from PG&E and California Department of Fish and Wildlife, go to actionnewsnow.com and click on our future after the fire. Amy Lansky, Action News Now.
Our future after the fire is proudly supported by Tri-Counties Bank. Tri-Counties Bank, service with solutions.